Thank you for sharing. So imagine that you are filled with light. In your mind's eye, your imagination, which we celebrate in June, power of imagination. Imagine that you are filled with light, for that is the truth. Our light steps down into matter so we can negotiate in the world. But the truth is we are from the one light and we are beings of light. So God, we enter this time open and receptive to your spirit, your light, to enlighten our minds and hearts, to bless us with insights that will contribute to our lives, our well-being, our hopes, our enthusiasm, and our joy. We give thanks for the fruitfulness of this time together and claim it in your name and in your nature, and we all say, Amen. Great. Okie dokie. So my first quote is,
Kathy can't hear you. She can't hear you.
Kathy, can you out there hear me?
Yeah, the quality is not very good, so I just asked Mac to move the mic a little closer to you.
Oh, it is my only mic, right? That one? Yes. Yeah, turn it on. Okay. So let's take a look at this first quote. Our spiritual obligation is to do well. How about that? Is that it's offered by our author, Joan Chittister, as a spiritual obligation. Of course, we always have free will. You can say, I'm not interested in that obligation and I'm not going to participate. But that wouldn't be smart. So because we all want to age well, right? Age well, so that others who meet us have the courage, the spiritual depth to do the same. So my question to all of us is, how do we age well? And the floor is open. You're all thinking, right?
This is Kathy.
I think.
Can you hear me?
Joy, I have been very
Talk, if
fortunate.
you can't talk loud, Joy, because
I've been very fortunate in my life to be extremely healthy. And I believe in one of the reasons is I was fortunate enough to have a doctor from Germany for my children who did not believe in over medicating and giving children antibiotics because that was his belief. And I went right along with him and for a whole other reason, but that has always been my mantra. And then, so I raised my children without medication. And I don't take anything. I never have, except the vitamins. So I personally feel for me that we are over medicated. There seems to be an answer for everything on TV, take this, take this. My brother is an example of that. He believes everything because he's got a doctor, and he is now on 15 medications. And his most recent issue is now he has Parkinson's as well. So now that's been happening. So that is my belief. I think what we do with our bodies and exercising, now I'm not working, but I think mentally I can't touch on that at all. And I personally think the biggest thing is to keep yourself healthy, and one of the ways to do it is not to buy everything on the store and take it to the shop.
Thanks, Joy. Thank you. So I'm going to share what you said, Joy, because I'm not sure everyone heard.
Okay.
And that is, Joy was sharing that she attributes her good health and aging well to not having taken a lot of medicine, and to exercising, and to keeping her body healthy. Who else? Diane?
Well, for me, it's attitude, and correcting some stinking thinking and all that kind of good stuff. Because I have a bunch of genetic things that, unfortunately, I think it's great when people don't. But if you do,
I'm fortunate, I can't say, I'm taking advantage of good health.
So I think attitude. I mean, one of my favorite people is Stephen Levine, and his book "Healing into Life and Death" has been really special to me because he discusses this aging thing, and that our lives may be long, or they may be short, or they may be real healthy or not. And basically, we're all healing into that transition or that place, that next special place. So for me, it's attitude.
Great, thank you. So Diane, did you all hear Diane? Yes? Carol, did you hear Diane? Okay. So Kathy, you were going to share something.
It was already said. Exercise, and I haven't done it, and I'm feeling like I'm aging because I haven't gotten back into exercise. I think that really helps. Be quiet, Cleo.
He agrees. She agrees. Thanks, Kat. Exercise helps. Great.
This is Nancy Lyersoff, and I had a grandma who aged very, very gracefully. She lived to be 105. She learned to walk over twice. She had phlebitis in her legs. She had cataract surgery on 2 eyes, but she read her Bible every day. She followed the Cleveland Indians. She kept her mind active, and she was just a wonderful role model. So I would say that it's really important to keep your mind active and to keep a positive spiritual attitude.
Great, thank you. Mind active and positive spiritual attitude. Thanks, Kathy. And someone else was Betty.
I agree with Kathy talking about exercise and so forth. And I started mind dancing again 2 weeks ago. I used to do that years ago when I was younger. And but I feel that that's one thing that will keep me moving, and I do Tai Chi and Qigong and so forth. But when my kids or family members say, "How do you keep going? Where do you get energy?" And I said, "Well, vitamins and God, mostly God." And I think our obligation is to give credit where credit is due when we are able to present ourselves as healthy and strong and so forth, that our strength comes from our spiritual connection.
Great, thank you. So I don't know if you all could hear Betty, but she was talking about getting back to line dancing and Tai Chi. And so she was segueing from Kathy's idea of keeping the body healthy through movement. And then God and
Vitamins.
vitamins. God and vitamins, but mostly God. But mostly God. Mostly the relationship. Who else? Donna, glad you're here.
So right.
And let's see. Let's go around the room and say hi because Donna's here. She hasn't been here before. And Carol, were you here last week, Carol? No, I didn't think so.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yeah, I was here last week.
Oh, yeah, you were, Carol, you were, I'm saying Carol.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't know if you can see Carol. So just go around, start with Diane, just say your name so Carol can get
Diane,
Chris,
Joy,
Maya,
Betty.
Linda,
Howard.
Susan,
Carol.
Carol. And online we have,
Carol.
yeah, Kathy,
Kathy,
Nancy, Betty Jo, Judy and Eileen. Oh, I saw Elva before. And here's Elva.
Alva,
Hi, Elva.
hello.
Okay, anyone else want to comment on how do we age well? Carol.
yeah, laughter.
Laughter, great.
And not taking yourself so seriously all the time. There's a time and a place to be serious. But the thing is that if you don't have laughter and joy in your life, I mean, that's what invigorates me.
Amen, right, amen. So let's pause for a moment here. You guys are saying, ladies and gentlemen, are saying great things. Where do you suppose laughter comes from? Why is it? Let me see if I can phrase it in a way that is clear to you. Why can we even laugh or appreciate the humor about something? You know you're in a spiritual class right now.
I would just,
Carol.
this is Carol. I would say we laugh because joy is who we are, and we don't take ourselves so seriously. And that's my secret to aging well, is just letting go of all the nonsense and just enjoying the moment and continually learning too. But I think joy and finding fun and in the moment and wonder is how we age well and why we laugh.
Great. And so,
Oh, this is Kathy. I think it's fun to see newborns, infants laugh.
mhm.
So it's just part of our soul experience, because we don't have to learn how to laugh. We're born with that knowledge.
And the reason we can say that we are born with that knowledge is because babies laugh. Is because,
We're born with the Spirit of God in us.
yay! We're born with the Spirit of God in us. Yeah. So Kathy and I were just talking about this morning, that I was asking that we put our 5 basic teachings on a slide on Sunday mornings. It's on our website, but just so newcomers can see what our foundational statements are, all of our metaphysics and tools and practices come out of those 5 basic foundational beliefs. And the first one is God is the creative principle of absolute good. God is the one source, one presence, one power. One presence, one power. We say it every Sunday morning, right? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good omnipotent. And we also say the second basic principle on Sunday morning, and that is that creative principle lives in each of us. That's who we really are. At the core of our being, we are divine, because we come out of the one presence and one power. And so we can say that we laugh because, as Carol said, the Spirit of joy lives in us, and the Spirit of joy lives in us as the divine spark, as the presence of God. Any comments or questions there?
Reverend Sharon, this is Carol again. One Unity Church in Memphis, we used to always say something similar to what you said, but we would always say, and I've always remembered this, so meaningful to me. It says, "There's only one power in my life and in the universe, God the good omnipotent." And then it adds, "I am an individualized expression of God, ever one with his perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance." And that last part constantly comforts me to know I'm always God is always part of me.
Always taken care of, which is
Yes.
Eileen's mantra. Eileen, what is your mantra? Eileen.
That's mine.
My mantra is I have everything I need when I need it.
There you go. Donna, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say there's different kinds of laughter. I mean, this is laughter at the expense of somebody else.
Oh, yeah,
No.
You know,
yes, and that doesn't come out of the joy of spirit in us. That comes out of the absence of the joy of spirit in us. Yeah, thanks. So always distinction, there's always a spectrum. The spiritual potential here and unrealized spiritual potential. Okay, anyone else on how do we age well? If, by the way, Chris, you're here today.
I am.
I knew you were here, but
Not just.
it just went off and we, oh,
Physically also, physically here.
she's usually working. Okay, moving along here. Oh, boy. Only I could see this now. There we go. So the three things, the three chapters, 4 chapters for today, because I'm trying to take us through all of the topics in that book. I'm not doing it, but I picked 4: time, wisdom, sadness, and dreams. And boy, I'll tell you, when I looked at the word sadness, I thought, oh, no, don't do that one. And then I looked at the chapter again and I thought, well, we have to, because sadness is a part of life. And it's a part of the years, as the years pass. As we live through the evolution in our lives. And some things are lost, some things we give up, but grieving and letting go is a part of human beings and dreams. How about this one? Chris, what does it say?
It takes a long time to become young.
It does take a long time to become young, doesn't it? The older we get, the younger we get. Hopefully. If we're aging well.
So seriously. Yeah.
So seriously.
You just don't take things so seriously.
Yeah,
Because you've been through so much that, so the light bulb explodes. No big deal, Just clean it up.
Clean it up and keep moving.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what do you make of that statement in addition to what Chris shared? It takes a long time to become young. How do we become young as we're getting older?
Right, but the phrase is older and wiser, so we hope to become wiser when we get older.
We hope to become wiser when we get older. Amen.
I have a icon on my refrigerator. It says, the older you get, the better you are, unless you're a banana.
Betty was saying, did you all hear Betty? She was saying she has a saying on her refrigerator. The older you get, the better you are, unless you're a banana. Good one. Takes a long time to become young. Takes a long time to become young. As Jesus said, unless you become like children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So what is it about children? Maya?
It reminds me of being with my mom as she's aging. I don't know if this happens to everyone, but to me, it seems that she is becoming more like a child. I mean, she calls me mom sometimes, and she doesn't have dementia. It's just, she was a very opinionated person, and now she's just more accepting and very okay with making a lot of mistakes and forgetting things. She just says that it's fine, and then she kind of forgets about it. And I think children are that way. They don't hold grudges. They just move from thing to thing. They're happy, they're sad, but they just keep flowing. They keep flowing. They don't hang on to stuff. Yeah. So there's something I think about aging that I feel that way too. Things that I used to be so hard-lined about. I'm starting to see those edges dissolving, and my ability to be with a broader way of thinking.
Great. Hope you all heard Maya, because I don't know if I can repeat. Diane?
Well, I think that I was thinking earlier, I have this new grandson, you guys know, because I told you, and I'm in the room with him, and he wears diapers. Soon I'll have diapers probably. There's cribs for babies, there's cribs for older people, all these accoutrements that we need as we age. I think it's because we're giving up the ego. spirit comes out. And it becomes, it becomes harder to become so defensive and so driven to, achievement and everything. And just spiritually, we just evolve. Well said. Carol?
It takes a lot of the energy to be constantly, zoning in on things. It takes a lot of energy. When you get older, you don't have that overabundance of energy. So I think you soften because you're
Wait,
actually,
Carol, who softens?
huh?
Who softens? I think,
I think that we soften
who's we?
as we get older.
I think,
People soften.
well, some do, some don't. Do you?
I do.
Okay, that's my point.
But I don't know. I've never really taken things real super serious. Doesn't mean that I haven't had a lot of things happen. I have. But I have the ability to kind of move on from it. I learned what I need to learn from that. And I move on.
So the buttons get removed.
Yeah.
People can't push our buttons, things, and people can't push our buttons.
True.
Thank you. Anyone else online want to comment on that one? So let me reiterate again. Jesus said, unless you become as children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. And so we said some interesting things here, like kids don't hold grudges, kids move on, they get mad, they get glad, and next adventure, please. Kids are so adventurous, aren't they? So curious, so resilient. Kids do not stay down when they fall down, do they? Have you ever seen a kid stay down when the little one falls down? No. And they don't keep crawling because they want more. Let me see if I can walk. Once they can walk, let me see if I can run. So that's a message to us. Keep growing. Keep growing. Okay, anyone else on staying young, forever young? All right.
Yes, yeah, this is Kathy.
Yeah.
I think that also, well, I lost that thought. Children, never mind, I can't remember the thought.
Oh, bring us back to it. When you remember it, bring us back. Carol?
I just want to add, I just keep thinking about the reason angels can fly is because they take themselves so lightly. And I think that's part of it. We have a tendency as we get older to carry too many burdens on our backs and shoulders and guilt and shame and all that. And it's, as I get older, I get younger because I become lighter. I just release I'm just so much about releasing things that don't serve me and being joyful. So I would say becoming lighter.
Great. And I want to point out, segueing from what you said, Carol, that Carol was speaking about 2 tools of transformation that we teach in Unity, and that is denial and affirmation. So releasing things, not taking things so seriously, is really letting go. And it's like water off a duck's back. We let it go. We don't let it seep in, which is the divine power of release. Release. It actually reprograms, helps to reprogram our consciousness, which is how we stay young, right? We erase any thoughts, attitudes, perceptions that age us. Don't you wish you knew that? Yeah.
I have something.
Okay, let's read.
Reverend Sharon, I was going to say a
Please.
little something. I don't know if it fits into it, but I remember one time years ago, a friend and I were going to a carnival. And I told her, when I got there, I said, when we were kids, it seemed like all the colors, the balloons, the lights, everything seemed so brighter and the smell seemed so great. And I said, why is that? What, you don't sense that anymore? She said, well, because you were a kid, you were experiencing new things. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe that's what happens is we lose that if we aren't careful, and we start putting other things that are more serious and interfere, and we don't see those bright lights, and they're always there, and the smells and the joys. But so I thought, yeah, maybe that's it. We grow up and then it gets kind of boring. So
Elva. So I love what you said, and it reminded me of something that Joan said in the book, which was something like this, that as we age, we go from what Elva described as perhaps focusing on what's missing or what isn't working to focusing on the present moment and the goodness in the present moment, which is mindfulness meditation, what we call mindfulness. And as we get older, she claims, and I've noticed it, that the more we become fully present in the moment, the more we can see the beauty around us. Like Ella was describing young people going to a carnival where you're so in the present moment and so excited that you can smell the popcorn, you can smell the hot dogs, the lights are flashing, all of that, which sometimes along the way, we don't. So staying young, what does that have to do with staying young? It has to do with, live in the present moment, not in the past.
This is Kathy. I remembered what I was going to say.
Oh, good.
Children, this isn't true of teenagers, but children don't think they know everything. Children don't think they know everything. They're willing to learn new things, to accept new ideas, to be open to new experiences. And I think that from the teenage years and then going into adult life, we start to shut down on those new ideas and become ossified. Not we, I.
Brilliantly said. And a really important point that kids are always open to new ideas. I remember reading that Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, when he was in his 90s, said, I reserve the right to change my mind. He wrote all these books about spiritual truth as it unfolded in his mind. And yet he said, I can always learn more. There's always more. And kids know that. Kids have a sense of that. So yeah, we never know it all. As many classes as we've taken, there's always more. Okay, I'm moving on. Oh, Picasso said it takes a long time to become new. I thought it was Joan. It was Picasso. Nothing weighs more heavily on age than time. Nothing has more meaning. Time is suddenly not for wasting as we get older. What are your thoughts about time and those statements is my question. What do you think, Susie?
I was thinking of all the things I've saved through the years and said, well, someday I'll do that and someday I'll get to that. And then I realized, the last couple of years, hey, these are my somedays. I gotta get to that.
Yay. What else? Your thoughts about time and those three statements. Diane?
Well, it's an interesting idea because for me, I'm trying to get to that place of timelessness. Because I have all those projects too, and I'm seeing they're not going to get done. So it's like, how can I just that eternity piece? That okay, it's doesn't all have to get done. So nothing weighs more heavily on age than time. For me, it's letting go of time.
Great. Diane, for those of you online, Diane said what she was speaking to the first statement. And that is letting go of time. The desire is to live in timelessness, which is 100% full-on presence, right?
Yeah, because especially that word wasting bothers me. I got that as a kid. Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Just that being driven to move on. And so it's hard for me to just relax and enjoy. I mean, who's to really say that reading a book is not as important as, doing something you really don't want to do, like another degree or another, or getting all those pictures organized, whatever it might be.
Washing the floor.
Washing the floor.
Washing the floor. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to speak now again to the paradox of spiritual truth. And you started it, Diane. About wasting time. And Diane's kind of internal reaction to wasting time because of when she grew up. Don't waste your time is what she heard, which puts a lot of pressure on her. So I was thinking, well, kind of paradoxical. I mean, how can you say you're wasting time? What would wasting time be? And the thought that came to me, see what comes to you, thought that came to me is wasting time is what resentments do. It's what resentments waste time. Trying to change the past. If I just think about it a little more, maybe I can fix it. Like if I fix it in my mind, I've altered the past. We're not there yet. I know science fiction has been there and back, but any other comments about that or any of those statements? Carol?
Yes, it came to mind. Wasting time, one example for me is not taking care of myself and then trying to do a task in that state. And usually I make such a big mess of it. It's so much more work to fix it. That used to happen on my job as well as at home. So I have to take care of myself first, or what I do just doesn't work out.
True. So true.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, no one else? Howard.
To me, I forget who the scientist was who said it. I think it was Einstein, but he said time is an artificial construct by man to try to define something. In the universe, time is meaningless because it's infinite. And I relate that in a spiritual sense. Time for us, we try to measure in a lifetime. We got 80 years or whatever, and it's over. Well, in the spiritual sense, it's meaningless. We've got an eternity to go through these processes. So to say we're wasting time, I don't think we waste time. I mean, I can sit in my recliner and relax. Some people say, hey, you're wasting your damn time. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this is what I want to do right now. So I don't see anything being wasted. I think we learn from everything, even if we've done something stupid or
Who
done
learns?
something wrong. We learn from it.
Who?
You.
It's so annoying, isn't it?
No, it's amazing that I learn so easy and you learn so slow.
You never know. Thank you. Thanks, I enjoyed it.
This is
Observation.
Who else? Who's online want to say something? Maya.
This reminds me of, it's a quote from the Dalai Lama, but it's also a song that my grandson learned in preschool. So we ended up doing it as a family on Christmas. But the Dalai Lama says that your life is precious, and I'm not going to waste it, is what he said. And in that way, it reminds me of when my husband passed away. I felt like my future had just kind of disappeared, the one that I thought I was going to have.
And I really felt like from now on, I'm basically just waiting to die. And in that time, because my life is precious, I want to go and see if I can help my mom, because that seems like the right thing to do. And just kind of wait it out. Hopefully I can live long enough to see her through to her end. But I just feel like I don't want to waste what time I have.
Right.
But also there is a point where your life changes and you're waiting for the exit strategy, whatever that's going to be.
Yes. One thing that Joan Chittister points out in her book is, and I absolutely believe it's true, and we did a memorial for Donna's partner this weekend, and we talked about Linda's legacy, right? Linda was a love. Well, she still is. One of the most loving people, as people described her. And what an incredible legacy that is to leave. That takes me back to our first statement. This. That with the time we have, because we are the elders now, I'm looking around the room, we pretty much are the elders, that we've learned a few things, right? We've all learned a few things. We wouldn't be sitting in this room, I promise you that. We've all learned a few spiritual things, so we wouldn't be sitting here together. And what a gift it is to our own life and to others who know us to live such that the legacy we leave, or even the moments that we live, inspire others to live their best life, because we're living our best life. Okay, anything else here? Diane?
Well, I think this is a great discussion because I realized that wasting time for me, that's that message that relaxing is wasting, and it's not. And so that's my lesson that I'm learning. But if you think about it, the paradoxical piece again is there are a lot of ways to waste time. And when I used to work with people and they would have enormous issues in their lives, something I would say, and they would say, am I stuck in this or whatever? And I'd say, well, do you think it's helping you or hurting you? So I've tried to apply that to myself, because sometimes when I'm wasting time, I have to admit it is a waste of time. It's a stupid program, or it's this or that, and maybe I do have a project I should be doing. So I think it's that piece of looking at whether it's serving us or not serving us.
Excellent.
You know, and so it's back to that living well. And then when we live well, and then we have to age well. Always pressure. Right. You never can relax. You're a moron, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
I have a quick comment.
Yes.
I think, and as we learn in unity, we have choice. We always have choice.
Yeah.
We can choose what we want to do, and if we want to do that, that's my choice. And then sometimes circumstances come into our lives that we can't control. We don't choose that our husbands pass away, but how we respond to that, and then again, it's choice. So I think time is given to us, and we can do with it what we want to. I think God has a plan, and when we're following that plan of love and charity and compassion and so forth, I find that's what brings me joy and happiness. But anyway, I just always have the word choice in my mind.
I think that's important, right? To know that we always, one of the big things that we can lose sight of in the moment is that we don't have a choice. And we operate on automatic on the programs that have been indelibly imprinted on our consciousness until we erase them. I want to go back to what Howard said about timelessness. And, you know, actually their time is something that we made up here. And in this realm, I guess. I think, again, it reminds me about Thich Nhat Hanh. You all know who he is, right? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
No. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese monk who really his focus was living in the moment, mindfulness. And he would talk, and he's written extensively about 100% full-on presence. Like, be aware that you're smiling. Be aware, I think of, be aware of what you're looking at. Be aware of your breath as you breathe in. And give thanks. You know, smile in your heart, give thanks as you breathe. It's that part of experiencing timelessness, I think, is to be so fully present in the moment, which is difficult to do because we have these eyes and ears and programs that respond to what's out there. Okay, I'm moving on. And then this is more about that last piece, right? Her quote, time is a wondrous thing, if only I fill it well. So the reflection is, how are we filling the moments that we have? Like we're all filling our moments right now with this discussion, right? With this exploration.
I don't know if it was the gentleman that you referred to or not, but something I was reading about like a tea ceremony. And about being here now and being aware to hold the cup in your hands, feel the warmth, take time to smell the aroma. And it was a whole new way to hold the cup of tea, but again, it was to be here now. I think we can fill ourselves with those little moments if we take the time.
If we take the time, yeah, to be fully present. And I don't know if all of you online heard Betty, but she was talking about to be aware of holding a cup of coffee or tea. And the wonderful smell, scent, fragrance of tea, and the warmth of the cup. Just those precious moments, precious moments. Anybody online? Judy and Eileen, you're pretty quiet today. Any comments?
Not too many. I've not been too well for a few days, so I almost didn't come online, but I thought, well, it might help me if I do. So that's about where I am right now.
Great, great. I mean, thank you for being here, for doing what serves you. Okay. The only question to answer now is, what have I become? How would you answer that? What have I become? That's a tough one, right? Well, I don't know if it's tough. It certainly takes you deep inside.
I've become older.
Oh, thank you, Linda. You become a dog lover.
Yes, I become a dog lover.
She loves my Cleo. And Cleo loves her. Susie?
It came to me as I become wiser and more self-assured.
Great, great, great.
Judy has something.
Yes, Judy.
And become simpler.
Yay. I've become simpler.
We always say my life is so simple.
What else? Maya?
Well, in my becoming a widow and leaving all of my community and grandchildren and friends, I became someone who had a whole new future to create.
Great.
And then the pandemic hit immediately. And which brings me back to the last question about how do you spend your time. I realized, okay, I'm here waiting to die because I was in that state where nothing else stimulated me. All I wanted to do was cry. What can I do with my time that uplifts me? What am I the least bit drawn to? And I would take a Zoom class. I had a couple of spiritual communities that I could get in on satsang or meditation. What can I do with my time that there's even the slightest bit of full there?
Yeah.
And that's part of who I'm becoming. And then the other part of it is, where have I not been authentic in my life about who I am? And now that I'm creating this new chapter, new friends, and a new community, I don't want to hide anymore. I want to be who I am in a kind way, not like I'm better than anybody else, but hey, I'm vegan. You know, and just work with it. It doesn't mean, that I have cooties or anything. This is true. And there might be a lot of reasons that people do what they do. And so just learning how to be authentic and learning how to find some upliftment as to who I'm becoming. And now I'm thinking, actually, I think the rest of my life will be like this. Great. That I'll always be becoming the next version of myself.
Great. Great. Thank you. I hope you all online all heard mine. Did you? Yes? No? Okay. Great. Thank you. Who else? Diane?
For me, it's becoming closer to God.
I'm becoming closer to God.
Because of all the trust issues and other things. And I will follow up with my comment. Having the time to do that is so important.
Yeah.
Having the time to get more conscious and do more reading, do some more Zooms and wonderful discussions with wonderful people. It's a gift.
Great. Great. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Diane and Maya. Anyone online? Who are you becoming, or what have you become? Okay. We understand some things about living well. What have you come to understand about living well? We touched on this a little bit, but let's just see if anything else has come to you. What have you come to understand about living well? Any other comments?
Don't spend a lot of time complaining.
Appreciate what you have. Oh, I like that. Linda said, don't spend time complaining. Appreciate what you have. Great. Susie, so we're back to gratitude. Yeah. Be grateful. Gratitude is so magical, isn't it? It's so powerful. Transforms consciousness like few other things can. Howard?
I think you've been stressing, live in the moment. Yeah, there may not be a tomorrow, so enjoy now and get all you can out of now. Yeah, and I've seen that in hospice patients, they've been given a death sentence and they're going to go, but that's immaterial. Squeeze everything you can out right now, live in the moment.
Yes. So Howard was saying, to those of you online, Howard was talking about, understanding about living well is to understand to live in the now moment. Really get what you can out of the now moment. Or be what you can out of the moment.
I would add to not be, I'm living better because I'm not sweating the small stuff. I'm not judging people. I'm letting go of like what's in the news. And I look at, well, what can I do? What's mine to do? So it's a lot about keeping an open heart and accepting other people as they are and accepting myself, knowing that I continually grow. But letting the judging, it was what brings me down. So that keeps me from living well. So being non-judgmental all
Great,
around.
thank you. Very important, very useful. Yeah, you know, we have any of you seen the Janus space? You see it in psychology classes often. It is a picture of a head looking this way and looking that way. I can look this way or I can look that way. I can only look two ways at one time. I mean, I can look at this or I can look at that. Take your pick. We haven't yet developed frog eyes, but and where we put our focus, I'm clear where I put my focus is what I experience. So I think someone was just saying with Carol, non-judgmental. I can focus on what I don't like, or I can focus on what I do like. Take your pick. I can focus on what's missing or what's here right now. Take your pick. I can't do both at the same time, right? Either or. And so when we think about living well, you've all made great comments about where to put one's focus. Focus on what we're grateful for. Focus on the now moment. Focus on the simple things. Focus. I did a talk once on mastering your focus. That was for me. Yeah, Betty?
About being non-judgmental. The Baha'is have a saying regarding judging people, what they look like, what they do, and so forth, that we are all flowers in God's garden. And that makes an impression on me because you think of zinnias, they don't look the same as petunias or roses or whatever, but they all serve a purpose and they're all beautiful.
They're all beautiful. Yeah. There's a song. What is it? Everybody's beautiful in their own way.
Yes.
Yeah. Who sang that? Everybody's beautiful.
I don't remember saying it. Love the song.
It sounds like a folk song, something Joan Baez or one of those way back in the 60s sang, but as I recall.
Yeah, it's an oldie. It sure is an oldie. Do any of you know where Everything is Beautiful came from? Anybody online? Oh, yeah. The one, ask Google.
Well, take the time.
Google will know. While we're getting that answer, Joy, what were you going to say?
Well, when I first read Living Well, based, and this was the way I was raised, living well and having stuff. It meant having the car, having this, having that, getting your college education, making money. I never heard the word spiritual in my whole life until I got involved with unity. That was never, it was about stuff and collecting and having this and having that and having friends that had that added up. It was strictly, and that was the way I was raised. I just thought that's the way everybody was raised.
Yeah.
So when I didn't have that stuff, or then it was like, wow, there must be something, you know, then it changed me. I think because I thought, I experienced me being living well, being acceptable. Well, I wasn't living well, and what did I do wrong? Why was I doing wrong? And what's good? That whole litany goes through. So when I finally took it, I thought, why did I have to wait so old to realize what living, you know, that's what gets me. Why didn't I know this stuff earlier? You know how much life would have been different for me if I'd have known this? I mean, if I'd just been, but it's like, why now? Why am I doing it this age? Why am I doing these things now? That's me.
Joy. I was reading Richard Moore. I'll come to you, Susie. Don't forget. Hold what you're going to say. Don't let it go. I was reading Richard Moore last night, his book, Everything is Sacred. And to speak to what you were saying, Joy, he was saying essentially We all have to carry a cross. And we all experience a crucifixion of one sort or another. In other words, and this is Buddhism too, in the world there is suffering. And Jesus said, in the world you have tribulation, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. So life on life's terms can be very harsh and difficult sometimes. But the hope is the divine spark within that's greater than any circumstance we may encounter. Or can be, if we call on it. So yeah, why didn't we know it sooner? I thank God I know it now.
Yeah, and I think the other problem I had with myself and others is I kind of knew that upbringing was wrong. It deep down, but nobody else seemed to.
Yeah.
So I was always out of sync with everything. It's like, and my people felt sorry for my family because they had me. Really, truly. And, because I presented so many problems, but I was always questioning. I would never take anything at face value, and it made my parents nuts. I mean, really, and I'm still to this day the same way. I haven't changed a whole lot, but I question things, but I mean, it's amazing. And I'm thinking, what could I have done, or what could I have been or do if I'd have known what I know now? How different my life would have been. But then, is it because we're not supposed to know? Not then what I know, I mean, I don't know, is that part of my growing? Now, will I remember this if I come back in my next life? Am I going to remember this and I can continue? Or am I have to go back to square one? That's my other question.
The word is reconciliation.
Okay.
We all have those kinds of thoughts. Not the same as you're having, not the same experience for sure.
People experience,
but to reconcile what has been with what is now, or we could use the word forgiveness. Couldn't we? Use the word forgiveness. We forgive ourselves, we forgive life, we forgive God, we forgive mom and dad, we forgive.
That's, yeah.
Susie, did you remember?
Oh, kind of, it's just, think of all the people that never get to where you are and live their life, and that's it.
I do think about that, and I feel very blessed, but every once in a while, I think, why didn't I know this sooner?
I know.
But I don't know what sooner is, and I know we all have to go, but I tend to be very impatient about things. But it's interesting though, I mean, I can also now, I can appreciate who I'm becoming. And it's okay that I'm this age becoming. I mean, I've just come to that. I don't question anymore. It's just, this is what it is, and just deal with it. So I'm
Maya was saying, right?
Yeah. So I'm at that, but do you ever think about what if you would have had a different, how it would have changed? Well, I don't know. I don't like to dwell on it, but I tend to.
So wasn't that then choices back then? Or you just weren't aware of the other choice? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think in your own case?
Choices.
Yeah, me. Well, Harold,
I chose this
I'm sorry, we're thinking the same thing. She made one bad choice, but, oh, well, she's lived with it.
You learn from everything. That's Ray Stevens, 1970. Everything is beautiful in its own way, like a starry summer night on a snow-covered winter day. Sound familiar? Yes.
did you get the music?
I could, but I turned it. But you know what? It starts out here where it says, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves, I remember that song, but I didn't know it was part of this. I don't know why that comes in here. But the next verse then says, everybody's beautiful in their own way, under God's heaven. the world's gonna find a way.
Oh, beautiful song, great
Yeah.
words. We'll have to do it on Sunday.
Yeah, tell them all.
Kathy, did you write that down?
Yeah, tell
For
them all.
Sunday, we gotta do everything is beautiful.
Does she need to know who's five?
What else were you gonna say,
Ray
Susie?
Stevens.
Yeah.
No, I think I was done. I don't know.
That was it?
Me? I think he talked, but no, that's
He
fine.
wrote it too.
Yeah.
We wrote it, he's a singer.
What did you say?
He wrote it and sang it. Ray Stevens.
Wrote it and sang it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Susie, I told you to hold it, remember?
Oh, but I did,
She
you
did.
said it. It
Oh,
was
okay.
my joy, thank you.
All right,
Thank you, for sure.
Terrell,
I was just thinking about something that Betty said about the flowers. And Titch, he's very dear to my heart. It almost makes me want to cry. He, by listening to him, has taught me that, for me, I've always been hyperactive. And the setting still has been uncomfortable and unbearable for me. But, learning to sit in the moment, we also have to sit with our suffering and, and to take care of our own suffering. And then, in that way, we have compassion for other people. But I guess the biggest thing that I've learned is that, like with the flowers, all the flowers bloom at different times.
Mhm.
They all break through the soil at different times. And I know Titch talks about, he wrote a book called No Mud, No Lotus. And that's true because, I know for myself, in my experience, the greatest sorrows that I've had have also given me the greatest insight into other people. And I wouldn't give that up for anything, to be able to see someone else. That's, to me, that's a gift, And so I don't regret what I've walked through. I don't regret it. And I'm so happy and so blessed that there are teachers, that, along the way who have helped me understand myself better or understood the world better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thank you. That was very beautiful. Yeah. We'll take a deep breath.
Well, you reminded me of that book, The Hero's Journey, because we don't all start at the same place. Some of us started in immense poverty or immense dysfunction or whatever it might be. And there are lots of gifts in that. Like, that you've got that compassion and you can relate and understand people. And yeah.
Well, it was like what you shared, Carol, reminded me of something that you have said a couple of times, Diane, and that is to embrace, hug your fear. Is that what it was?
Hug your fear, but hug that regret too, because I do think we all have regrets. I mean, I think to myself, I always wanted to be a talk show hostess. And I would have made a good one, right? But, we have other great things that happen. And I really think we all need to give ourselves a pat on the back. I think we should do it right now because it is not easy to move through some of this stuff. And before you go, Betty, thank you for that thing you said about God's plan. Because for me, because I grew up with that negative God, and some of us did, and I think that's what we're talking about here. And when we follow God's plan, for me personally, I know I'm on the right track. Well, I couldn't do that before because I didn't trust God, basically.
Right.
And so some of us have had those messages that we've had to work through, and good job, right?
Right.
We've done a good job of that.
I think I told my story about a puzzle that when I was delivered as a baby, I came with a puzzle and all those pieces didn't always fit in when I wanted them to. That's what I feel that God has a plan for us. Not that we have to do something, but that the opportunities are going to be there for us to choose from those. I have a half-an-hour ride home to get on my other Zoom meeting with a group of ladies that I am very close with, and we do this, so I gotta go.
Thank you for that. Okay, yeah, so Gerald said something very important, I think, that relates to a spiritual principle. And that is this: what I resist
Persists.
persists. What I resist persists. What I resist grows bigger. And so no one wants to suffer or be in pain. And to resist it, deny it, not deal with it, not learn from it, we're missing an opportunity. Because it's there, you know, what do we, to fight it hurts. So to sit with your suffering, which is what Chittister would say.
And to
Not
take
like-
care of it.
Not like wallow in it, but take care of it.
Yes.
Take care of it, take good care of it. Okay. Our role is to be what we have discovered about life. Our responsibility is wisdom. So my question is, how am I being what I have discovered about life in any given moment? In any given moment. So if we discover that life is about living in the moment, how am I being that right now? If we have discovered that compassion is medicine, good medicine, how am I being compassionate right now in this moment with the driver who's just cut me off? Carol.
Yeah. Well, my thought just left me. Let's see. One thing that I heard a while back that really affected me around this is when you figure out how the world works or how spirit works, don't play dumb, you know. And there are times when I want to just not be that kind, loving person. I don't want to choose that. I want to react. I want to get. And so, but I remind myself, you know better, you know what's important, you know what spirit is leading you to. So we have sometimes I have a tendency, I'll just speak for myself, to go back to being selfish or being not kind, and I have to choose to not be that way. It's still, I guess it's just a habit. And so when you know how things work, don't play dumb. That's what I wanted to leave you with.
Thank you, great, great. A rubber band once stretched cannot go back to where it was. A mind once stretched cannot with integrity go back to where it was. Rubber band goes back. Not some of them I've used. Okay, well, the ones from the heat gets them right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've had rubber bands around stuff that stretch out, or if they've been there for a long time. Maya.
One thing I've learned about life was through, as Carol was saying, some of the things that have happened to me. I was a school teacher, and I ended up having to leave after a number of years because I was so wrapped up in being the best school teacher that ever lived, having the best reputation, helping to teach the other teachers how to be the best they could be. And what I was doing is I found out from falling apart and having to take time to heal that I was actually living from a wounded place where I didn't feel like I was enough as I already was. So I think our wounds that we get along the way, like people who won't listen or tell you, don't say that in front of so-and-so because they'll think you're weird. Those wounds shape us. So I became someone who was trying to prove something. I was a great teacher. I gave a lot of love. I did a great job, but I couldn't last because I was coming from this wounded place.
Great.
So I think that is an important responsibility I have to my wisdom, is to watch out for those wounded parts of me that are speaking out or reacting, resisting.
Yeah. And they come from out of nowhere sometimes, right?
Yeah.
What? Did I just say that?
And I think we might die with some of them. It's just, you know, they're part of who we are, but we can learn to understand them. And thank you, Judith.
That's what apologizing is for. Karis?
The responsibility is wisdom, and at what point, and I'm gonna ask a question here.
Yeah.
Because our responsibility of being wisdom, because we've lived through and we can pass this on to our children, some of our wisdom, at what point do we just sound like we know it all, we've done it all, we've been there, done that? Or to really try to help them to pass on your wisdom, and then they're going, oh, well, it's only mom. So they really don't really pay attention anyway. So, but I feel some responsibility to pass on some wisdom. And I think that's where I have a problem trying to say that this is something you may encounter and this is how to handle it or not. They're not going to, but or to just sound like you're trying to help them, or am I just passing on? Am I just saying like, I know everything? At what point is the cutoff to where you're done with it, you know?
That's an excellent question.
No answer.
Who has a comment about that? Diane? Why don't you start, you go first.
Okay, I have thought for myself to start writing. I don't know, kind of like a memoir of my life, my experiences, so I could leave it for my daughters. A very significant person in my life was my grandmother, and she died when I was 14. But I wish I would have had more, you know. I grasped onto that. I can remember her singing to me. You know, she was not a religious woman. She is a very spiritual woman. And her faith and her belief was just, I mean, it radiated from her body. And, you know, I guess she's been kind of my ideal where I want to go. But I wish she would have loved me more. I wish I would have known more, you know, of how she handled things. What I do know is that she was an incredible woman who overcame fear by walking through it. And she had, you know, a very tough life. You know, her mother died when she was 4, and she had a very neglectful father. But, you know, and she got into an abusive marriage and she left, but she did that by waking up one morning and saying, I choose not to live in fear anymore. So, you know, and every story that our family tells about their experience with her is how she's seen into a fear they had, and she helped them walk through the fear. You know, I mean, she was tender, but yet she was so strong. I mean, this, you know, just, you know, it was incredible. If I could ever live up to that, you know.
So her wisdom is walk through the fear, the legacy that your mom left for you.
My grandmother.
Your grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah. Be able to be strong enough in your faith, your belief in, you know, a spiritual power, you know, to walk through it. So she practiced, I witnessed that, you know, my entire childhood, you know, and I was just like in awe of her, you know, because she had that strength and that, but yet she had her own humility, you know, so.
Thank you. Great. Who else? I think Harold and Susie, did you have your hands up on that one? Yeah.
Well, to Chris's point of view, to me, you know, I always like to stay to walk the walk, not talk the talk. And I think our children learn from observing us, not necessarily what we tell them, because it goes in one ear and out the other. But the interesting thing I found is as life goes on, you know, they get hit their late teens, 20s, and we're all stupid. But then all of a sudden they come into their 30s, some of them, not all of them, and they start making statements like, oh my God, I'm becoming just like my mother. You know, whatever it was you were doing as you walk the walk, they are observing and it is sticking in, and they're becoming just like their mother. So, so anyway, I don't get all worked up. It's, you know, growing up is a process and we all go through it. And some of us learn, some of us don't.
Well, what is your wisdom? Some of us learn, some of us don't.
Let go, live your life, do the best you can. You're being observed.
That's true, huh?
Yeah.
That's true. You're being observed. Yeah. Yeah. The responsibility of wisdom. So it sounds like one of the things you're saying, Howard, is we teach. The responsibility of our wisdom is we teach by how we be and what we do, more than what we say sometimes, right?
That's good, I like that. I like that, thank you. I think having kind of the same thoughts as Chris, because I don't think my kids are interested in my great knowledge. I'm almost sure they're not. So hopefully I have, you know, they'll remember, hey, she wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Diane, this
Well, I would say, it sounds like your grandmother taught you lots, and I have that same thing. I wished I'd known some things about my mom, who was a survivor. But basically, your survival instincts are coming from your grandma, you know. But I also like what you said, Susan, because writing, you know, I'm trying to do more of that, and somehow the other day this topic came up in that song, How Do I Help You Say Goodbye? Does anybody know that song?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's a heart-wrenching song. And I was listening to it, just crying through it, because I'm an older mom and I know that I'll be gone, you know, with my younger daughter. So I asked my youngest sister, who I'm very close to, and hopefully she'll be a mentor to my daughter when she's, you know, when I'm gone. We don't know, of course, but that's my hope. I said, will you please share this with Emily at someday? Because I don't dare share it now. It's like, you don't have a mother in my field and offer advice. You know, it's like, no, I had to learn to back off. So, you know, I can leave things. But I think that I know Chris a little bit, and you are definitely showing that survival instinct to people. And we cannot pass on wisdom in the form of our words and our advice to people that don't want it. That's, and sometimes our kids fight against it because they know we're wise, and it's like they're trying to get their own little ways going. So it's better to just leave it alone and write it down or leave a legacy. Mention that word a couple times. What's our legacy?
Great, thank you, thank you. Okay, well, this has been gourmet. Thank you all for the, by the way, don't forget the gourmet up here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to close with prayer now, and please have some of that.
Can I say one thing? I'm going to be gone now. This is my last group. So I just want to thank everybody because it's been a really enriching group.
Oh, thank you, Diane. Thanks for being here.
Safe travels.
Where are you going?
Back to Portland.
Portland.
We may be at church if I can drag my husband, he's not a churchgoer. I can drag him Sunday, I might be at church, but this will be the last.
Oh, Father's Day, yeah.
Father's Day, that's my decision.
I know. It's gonna be a great service. Billy is gonna do it and.
Portland,
got-
Oregon, or me?
what's that?
Oregon or me?
Oregon.
We lived in both. Man.
Oh,
Whoever knew that, we'd end up in both.
yeah, I forgot about Portland, Maine. When I hear Portland, I always think Oregon.
I do think Portland, Maine was first,
That's right.
so not to be forgotten about.
Not to be forgotten.
Well, and a lot more peaceful these days too.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right,
Okay, you're gonna pray, right?
I want to see how much we have left here before I stop. We do have a couple more classes, as you know. Maybe you can tune in, Diane.
That's an idea, I hadn't gone.
Oh,
The
you
brain is
are.
going.
We didn't get to sadness and dreams. We have to get to those. So next week, I don't want to rush through them. Any final comments from you all online? Eileen, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better than I was, but I was trying to think, what was I grateful for in that moment? And it's like, I'm grateful that I have a restroom in the house and for Charmin.
Bless your heart.
There's only one. Okay, we're gonna pray out. So thank you, God, for this time of reflection and sharing. Thank you for the richness, the vulnerability, the honesty, the authenticity demonstrated here today. Thank you for your blessings in this time and the beautiful seeds that have been planted that will flower and blossom throughout this day and in the days ahead. And so we go into our day with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what we do at the end of yoga.